Hey y'all, it's Ashley here. So I thought I would take you guys along with me as I bake some bread in my tiny house. I do want to start off and say that I do have all of my ingredients already pre-portioned, and I just think it's a lot easier for me when I'm baking or when I'm cooking or anything to have all of the ingredients already laid out for me. So I'll do all my chopping at one time, I'll do all my prepping at one time, so when I get into cooking, I just have to focus on cooking. Time permitting, if I'm able to. But right now I'm just mixing the flour, sugar, and yeast, and I'll keep all the measurements. I'll put them in the description box below. But I'm just mixing those out in my container, in my bowl, and I use my whisk for this just to get all of the chunks out and like the lumps. I don't have a sifter yet, but I do intend to get one soon. I'm super excited, but I didn't need my whisk for the rest of this recipe. I needed a hand mixer because I was mixing for a really long time. I'm excited to get a stand mixer if I ever, need one, but right now this works perfectly fine for me whenever I'm cooking in the tiny house. And so I started the mixer and then started adding my water oil mixture. I can already tell that it obviously separated, but as I was adding it to the mixer, I didn't think it was that big of a deal for me to try to mix it beforehand. And I am not the most coordinated person. I'm not the best at this, and I clearly need an apron. My older sister owed it to me for Christmas, and I'm yet to receive it, and it is February. But, it's okay. It is what it is. But basically, I just mixed it up, and I had to actually use my hand mixer for 5 minutes, continuously just mixing over and over. It was exhausting for my hand. If I had to mix this with a, what are those things called? A whisk? I don't know if I would have made it. I don't think I would have made it. But 5 minutes passed, and I had Alexa keeping a timer for me because I couldn't keep time in my head for this. But after I was done, after the timer went off, I did kind of clean off my little whisk things. And I added them to the cup so I can put it in the sink. I do like to try to keep my kitchen clean while I cook, only because it is a small space, and so I don't need the mess everywhere. And then I got my spatula just to clean up the outside of the bowl, because that's all precious ingredients right there. Like, we still want to eat all that, even though the mixer kind of spread it around. So I'm just putting all that together, and these are actually new spatulas. My little sister bought me them for Christmas, and I love them. They're exactly what I wanted when I asked her for spatulas, and they're just perfect. And so I do have to let this sit for a little bit, but I did want to show you guys the consistency of the batter after 5 minutes, and it was so brownie-like. Like, all it could remind me of was brownies, and so it was very interesting. But I did kind of set that aside. Well, I have to put it aside and let it rest for about 45 minutes, and then after that I kind of took it out. You can see even in the bowl it rose and then fell. And then I got the baking container, and I was getting ready for it to rest for its second time. I did have to transfer it to the container that I was going to bake in. And I don't really have cooking spray, like the non-stick spray. I usually just like to use the butter that I already have in my kitchen, because why not? I love butter. I try not to use too much of it, but I love it. So I kind of just, and it goes with the flavor of the bread. Bread and butter, great. So I kind of just took my little squeegee thing, I don't know, baster, I think that's what it's called. I'm unsure. I just like to use utensils. I don't really know the name of them all, but I kind of took that and used that to spread it all over my bread loaf pan, and then I also put it on a second spatula that I had because the other one was dirty, and I used that to just re-knead my dough one more time because that's what the instructions called for, and it kind of just gave it a little bit more hold, and then I transferred it into the loaf pan. Like I said about liking butter, Country Crock, my favorite brand ever since I was little, but they have the dairy-free version, and I am allergic to dairy, so it was just perfection. I love the flavor, love it all. So I just cut up a few pieces, put it on top of my dough while it's in the pan, and then I just covered it again, and I put it to rest while I while I preheated the oven. Wow, I cannot talk today. So I preheated the oven, and I don't have a lot of storage in my house, so all of my containers and bakingware is in my oven. Had to take it out. But halfway through the rising process, I started noticing it got really big. My tiny house does conduct heat or warmth very easily, so I think that was a big factor, and I think I'm gonna, think about that again when I kind of bake again and when I have something rest and the heat, because it was a mess. I ended up having to use my pizza pan and putting it on top of my pizza pan. Oh, it was a mess, but I got it all cleaned up and just like ready and put in the oven. And when I tell you, this bread ended up being so good. It was everything I could have needed or wanted and more. And like I said, getting dirty, getting messy in the process is all a part of it. It's so much fun. But it didn't really have too much of a crust. And so next time I just know I could bake it just a little bit longer. It would have not really affected my bread too much. But I loved it. I don't really like the crust, so it was just a giant loaf of the inside of the bread. And that was perfect for me. It was buttery, it was flaky, it was just great. I hope you guys really enjoyed watching, and if you guys bake some bread, let me know your recipes and if you liked it. Have a good one. Bye.